Hi, I'm Daniela, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I recently spent some time taking stock of all the watercolors that I have. It's my favorite medium. I have 3 of these travel-sized palettes, which I love to work out of, and I've realized that my tube paints have been neglected for years because I find these palettes to be a lot less fuss than pouring my tubes into this plastic mixing palette each time. I recently built my own custom palette at a shop called Case for Making in San Francisco. They hand make watercolors on site. Everything is hand packaged and hand labeled, and I found choosing my own colors from my palette to be so much fun. And the paints themselves are amazing. I love the custom color names like Egg Yolk Yellow and Lavender Blue Lake. This is the palette I ended up going home with, and the color names. This experience was so inspiring, I thought I'd buy another empty tin and build my own palette using the tube paints that I already have at home. This is not meant to be an instructional video. I've actually never done this before. I only vaguely know about the process of filling a palette, but I think it'll be fun to chat and set this up. I went to Blick and got this 12-pack of empty half pans, and I thought I had toothpicks at home, but I guess I don't. I did find these coffee stirrers though, and I think they'll work just as well. I swatched my tube paints already and arranged them in this diagram in my sketchbook, so I have a plan of the colors I want to be available in my new palette. I've already selected my palette tin from Case for Making. It's going to have room for 12 pans, and I really want a green or a brown to go in those 2 spaces. And I think this plan makes sense for myself and the colors I like to work with, and I'm really excited to set this up. While I wait for my palette and 2 pans to come in the mail, I'm going to pour the paint I have at home into these half pans so everything is ready to go when my package arrives. I'm starting with a tube of Daniel Smith Azo Yellow. It's a beautiful paint and it's my first time doing this, so I hope I don't accidentally waste any. I'm trying to pour into the corners, and then I'm using a coffee stirrer to further push the paint into the edges and reduce the chances of large air bubbles. And then I use the stirrer to smooth out the top. That went pretty well actually, no explosions. The next color is Cadmium Orange by Winsor & Newton. What I love about building my own custom palette is I can mix all these different colors from different brands, stuff that I already have at home, and combine them to make something new. And I find I'm liking the coffee stirrers a lot because I can spatula the surface of these paints to smooth out the top. This color is called Rose Doré by Winsor & Newton. I've had it for years and it's actually almost crusted shut, so I'm going over the top with a wet Q-tip to get all the dried paint off. And as I tried to pour it out, I discovered this paint is very dry now. Wrangling this into a palette is a better way to store the pigment now that it's in this state. It would be difficult to use straight out of the tube. And using the coffee stirrer here feels like smoothing out frosting on a cake. Or maybe plaster. The good thing about watercolor is though, no matter if it's wet or dry, it can still be used. You just need to add water. I'm really glad I'm able to save this color because it's a very beautiful salmon pink, like a warm orange pink. So I'm going to put it here next to the orange. This next color is Permanent Rose by Winsor & Newton, and what a world of difference. This one is very easy, and it's a true red pink, and it went in very smoothly. The next color is Alizarin Crimson by Winsor & Newton. Definitely one of the first tubes I ever bought. It was on my supply list for the first watercolor class I ever took several years ago. I've only taken 2 classes, but I find that teachers at the basic level prefer you work out of the tube so that you have the exact primary shades you need to learn color mixing. Speaking of, I really don't like mixing my own purples, so I bought this Cobalt Violet by Winsor & Newton years ago. I was really craving a bright purple, and I think it'll be a fun secondary to have in the palette. Next is a tube of Phthalo Blue by Da Vinci. It's one of my favorite colors to work with. It's a blue that doesn't granulate like ultramarine does, and when you mix it with yellow, it makes these really bright, vivid greens. You can also get a really great range of value with this paint, which is also why I really love using it. I'm excited to have easy access to it in my palette. This is my tube of Winsor & Newton Ultramarine. I only got it last year, but since I've used it, the cap has gotten completely stuck. So I opened the bottom of the tube, which is how I'll pour the paint out now, because this is impossible to open. And it's coming out like espresso, so this is good. I thought that it might explode, but everything is going smoothly. I cannot reseal the tube after I do this. It won't be usable anymore, so it'll be better to store the excess paint in the additional pans. So I'm filling the other pans with ultramarine as well, and this way we can save all of the paint without it getting stuck inside of the tube. Okay, we have 2 colors left. This is Payne's Gray by Winsor & Newton. It's a blue tinted gray. And next we have Sepia. I can't believe I haven't been using Payne's Gray because I absolutely love this color. The tube is a little messy and I forgot to film the actual filling of the pan, but after we cleaned everything up, I'm all ready to go to use one of my favorite colors in my palette. I love using it to paint shadows, and you can get it to be really, really dark or almost transparent. The value range is crazy. And then finally we have Sepia. This is like a brown tinted black. You can see the warm undertone a lot more the more water you add, and it kind of looks like tar as I pour it out, but I think it's a great color. The paint texture was a bit tacky, so things got a little messy, but I cleaned up the edges with a Q-tip. And we're pretty much ready to go. I still have 1 pan left, so I'm pouring the remaining ultramarine in here, just getting out as much as I can. You may be wondering why I need 2 blues. Well, phthalo blue is a lot better for making greens with yellow, and ultramarine is better for making purples with red. Here's the lineup of pans. I'm setting them to dry for a few days on my windowsill while I wait for my package from Case for Making. I went shopping downtown. I like to stop at my favorite stores every once in a while and see what's new. I went to City Papery, John Darien, East Village Postal, The Strand, and of course Greenwich Letterpress in the West Village. It's very difficult to leave without something from this shop. So I thought I would show you what I brought home. They wrap all of the purchases in this cute little package, and I always save the sticker. I got a birthday card. This shop is known for their card selection, and their sticker wall, where I of course picked up some stickers. I got these from the sticker rolls. I think they're really appropriate for April, and I was really excited to see Peanuts official rubber stamps in the shop. I had never seen these before, so I had to get one even though I don't buy many stamps at the moment because I have a lot. And I also went to the Strand and picked up some books because I had a gift card for my birthday. I got All the Beauty in the World by Patrick Bringley. This is a book I originally saw in the Met gift shop, and when I saw it again at the Strand, I decided to buy it. I really like reading memoirs, and this is one from a writer who takes a job as a museum security guard at the Met. This is Sorry I'm Late, I Didn't Want to Come by Jess Pan. I first came across her writing on Substack. I'll link the essay in the description box that made me discover that I love her writing. I'm also an introvert, so I was really interested in picking this up. The Backyard Bird Chronicles is by Amy Tan, who usually writes fiction, but this is a non-fiction illustrated chronicle about her interest in bird watching. I really love that there are full-color illustrations by Amy Tan in this book. She's so talented. This book was actually a gift. I really love it, and I can't wait to read it. And of course, I picked up The Artist Way. I have been thinking about it for a while, and I have decided that it's time. So we will see when I start this. I don't plan on doing it immediately. And I also got this sticker at the Strand. It's currently early April, but I'm going to take this time to start setting up my bullet journal for May. I like to combine my interests in art and organization and create my own planner every month. This will be my cover page where I make one big drawing to set the tone for the month. Just whatever I'm inspired by at the moment. I like to think of this as sketchbook practice. Central Park is starting to blossom, and I've been inspired to recreate this Howl's Moving Castle study I did in my sketchbook. First, I'm going to sketch out my landscape with a watercolor pencil. My favorite are from Crandash. They're just like regular colored pencils, but the pigment dissolves with water, so when you sketch with them and add watercolor over them, the sketch disappears. I use my Moran Montagu palette for the first layer of grass, and I'm going to use my Case for Making palette too because I'm obsessed with this light blue color called Iris. I want to use it for the trademark Ghibli clouds, and I'm adding the reflection in the water because I will surely forget otherwise. Taking the time to create my own planner every month helps me to recenter and prepare for what's ahead. It's a hobby I've been doing for almost 7 years now, and I still really enjoy doing it every single month. I painted the shadows, and I decided to use gouache for the very first time live on camera. This vlog is making me do crazy things. Not really. This scene is hard to paint because you have wildflowers peeking out over the grass, which is difficult with translucent watercolor. I only bought white gouache, so I mixed it with some yellow and some pink and some purple, and I added the flowers that way. Is this a legitimate technique? I have no idea. I just like to mess around and see what happens. On the other side, I'm adding numbers for the days of the month, and in the neighboring column, I'm writing down the days of the week. This page will serve as a very simplified calendar while I create my planner for the rest of the month. I used some very appropriate cloud washi tape and wrote the month name, and I am happy with this. I think this is a very nice page. Now I'm gonna set up the rest of the month. I'm gonna do my usual 2 lines a day page. Here is the March version of that. I like to keep the habit of writing a little chronicle of my daily life. I've been doing it for a long time, and it's really fun to look back on. Setup is very simple. I just use a washi tape as a border on the bottom, and then I use a Tombow dual brush pen on alternating rows to portion out the 2 lines a day. I then number the rows starting backwards so I don't run out of room, and add more washi tape on the top. I did miscalculate this one on the other side and I drew too many rows, but it's not a big deal at all. I'm just going to cover it with more washi tape, and the mistake never happened. I will then label the page. I'm going to give this a little light blue background with this watercolor pencil. They're so fun and easy to use. And now that we have added water to make this an even wash, I'm going to get my alphabet stamps and add a fun little label. I love these miniature ink pads. I can have so many more colors while saving so much space. And also I think they're like 5 years old now and they're still good. Now for some decoration, I'm going to use this coffee cup stamp that I got on AliExpress a long time ago, so I have no idea what it's called. And then this stamp of a stamp from Viva Las Vegas Stamp. It's so cute. I love it so much. To continue setting up the month, on the next page, I'm going to make my habit trackers. These are basically an adult sticker chart. I draw these mini calendars to keep track of habits I want to encourage by coloring in the corresponding daily square. And to keep with the very loose Ghibli theme, I'm going to draw a cloud at the top and then make a stripy background, which is very easy to do with these Tombow dual brush pens. Sometimes I fully illustrate my bullet journal pages, and sometimes I want to be a little more low effort and use my stationery collection to decorate. This is one of those months, so I'm using some Kiki's delivery service and Totoro stickers that my friends got me from Japan. I would love to visit someday, and I keep them in these button organizer along with other sticker flakes and washi so they don't get lost. And I'm going to use them to decorate the page. I couldn't decide on a sticker for this spot, so I drew a bow, and then I labeled my habit trackers with what I want to keep track of this month, like working out, or walking 3 miles a day, or just making sure I'm encouraged to read more. And then I added the weekly stamps. This will help me make sure I'm filling in the correct date when I'm using my habit trackers. I really like looking back on these every month. This is what my trackers look like for the current month. And here I am filling in one of them for drawing because I am drawing my bullet journal today. On the other side, I make my monthly headquarters. I make lists here, and I like to have a mini calendar so I can cross-reference it with my habit trackers. Lately, I've been using this perpetual calendar stamp. It is so cool. It's modular, so every single piece can be rearranged to make the perfect calendar every time. I'm rearranging this so that May starts on Thursday, and once it's back together again, I get ready to stamp it onto this memo pad. It's one of my favorites. It's from Mido in San Francisco. And after I fixed the stamp, I didn't press hard enough. I labeled the month and I started playing with my arrangement on the page before I glue things down. I'm checking that I have enough room to put everything here, and sometimes I just draw places to write lists like I am here. DIY, you know. And then I put a stamp on the page that says special delivery because of Kiki's delivery service, and added some more washi tape. The journal is looking cute so far. I am loving the colors, and next I make my monthly calendar, so I draw 5x5 squares for each day. I'm doing the stripes again, feeling the stripes for spring. I make a Sunday start calendar, which is controversial, but I like it. That's how my brain works. Sorry. I labeled the calendar, and then I got out these stickers that Stationery Pal sent me last year. I love them so much, these illustrated flowers to add a little decor and pizzazz to the page. Spring is here. I like this calendar. I add a little stripe of color to each day, and then I labeled the dates, and we're all done. Now we have the weekly pages. So these are just like regular weekly planning layouts. I like to have fun with different decoration techniques. Like on this one, I'm using stamps to create a pattern, and I'm worried that it's a little ugly, and it might be, but that's okay. It's just 1 week, and it's just my planner. Who's gonna get me the journal police? It'll be fine. And you know what? Maybe it's not ugly. I haven't decided yet. Here are 2 other weeklies for the month. I like to do this simple tic-tac-toe layout with a section for notes in the middle, super low maintenance, easy to decorate with cut flowers. Here is a double page weekly because there are an uneven number of weeks to get through here. And as I draw this, it's April 8th and 40 degrees, so it's crazy to get up to the 1st of June. But when you're planning, you're always thinking ahead. Here is the full layout for the month. We have the cover page, and then the second page is the monthly headquarters where I make my monthly to-do lists, and then my habit trackers on the other side. I ended up relabeling this with a sticky note that has clouds on it. I'll show you, it's super cute. My friend got it for me from Korea last year. I love it so much. I use them all the time. And then I have my 2 lines a day page and my monthly calendar. So all of the monthly pages are in the front half, and then the back half are the weekly pages. So here we have the buttons, which actually look okay today. I'm still deciding. And then on the next 2 pages, we have 2 more weeklies. And then finally, we have the double page, which is the last week of the month, and the 1st of June is on Sunday. And in a few weeks, not too soon, I'll start setting up June in this notebook. It's an Archer and Olive notebook. I have been using this brand for years now. I love their super thick pages. It makes a great bullet journal, and it's so pretty. I love the one that I have right now. Okay, back to the paints. After almost a week, they are dry. Some of them, like the sepia, have cracked and pulled away from the sides. So interesting. Others are smooth. But my case for making package is finally here. I'm so excited. I love ordering from small businesses. Like, look at this handwritten note, and they always include a card with the company philosophy and the product information. And I'm unwrapping my palette here. I chose the color Iris. This is not the cheapest palette money can buy, but I really wanted this particular color, and I feel good about supporting this business. I ordered some extra swatch cards. I love these so much because they're debossed so the swatch doesn't escape. And inside we have another swatch card and the 3 colors I ordered, which come in the half pan size. To free them, I'm removing the spacers that hold them in place. I chose CFM Emerald for my green, and I got Burnt Umber Red to have a nice warm brown in my new palette. And I got Hot Pink because when I was at the CFM store in person building my palette, I got a little excited and grabbed 2 of the same color. So I returned one and I had a blank space that I decided to fill with a pink. These are truly so fun to unwrap. They remind me of expensive chocolates. Okay, that is pink. I have a few pinks in my existing palettes, but they're pretty soft, and this one is very loud and different, so let's swatch it. I've added a little water to activate this, and that is neon. That's really fun. I don't have any colors like this, and now my CFM palette is complete. I'm just gonna label the swatch here. And now we will put my other new colors with their friends. I'm going to swatch them on my plan page first. I like using this dropper to quickly activate the paints. It's a lot less messy than the spray bottle. Swirl it around a little, and this green is beautiful. It's exactly what I wanted. The swatch is a little watery, but just to get an idea. And the Burnt Umber Red is also lovely. This is exactly the palette I wanted to build. Everything is going according to plan. So let's put it all together in my new palette. Here are the pans we prepared, and the yellow that we poured is super smooth, but it sank in the middle. Next time I'll overfill my paints to correct this. We got a wide variety of results here. The crimson cracked, so interesting. Anyway, the arrangement, I want my yellow, the lightest color, to be in the upper left-hand corner, and my darkest color, which I decided is sepia, in the lower right-hand corner. And in between, I'm placing colors in a semi-color wheel rainbow order. This is the final arrangement. I like it a lot. I put the spacers back in so the colors stay in place. And I have these 2 extra pans of ultramarine that I'm going to label and store away for future refills. And now it's time to swatch. Here you can really see the paper debossing so that the pigment will pool in its designated spot. To get ready for swatching, I'm going to drop some water into each pan. This card will be really helpful for remembering the properties of each color and the location of each color, so I'm going to replicate the arrangement exactly. When the paint is in the pan, sometimes it's hard to tell if it's phthalo blue or ultramarine, so it's helpful to have a guide. This swatch card is going to be kept inside the palette whenever I travel, and I'll make another one for the wall above my desk so I can quickly reference it anytime I need it. This is the swatch set I'm making for my wall. Swatches make fun and colorful decor, but they're also functional. I reference them all the time when I'm choosing colors, and they help me keep inventory of what I already have and maybe prevent excess purchases. Because they're always exposed to natural light, they also double as a light fastness test. I can see which pigments are prone to fading in the sun, and I'm labeling the pigments so if I ever need to buy a replacement, I know exactly what the brand and shade is. The information is in plain sight on my wall. Now it's time to get to know my new palette. In order to do this, I'm creating a color wheel in my sketchbook, which is very uneven, oopsie, but it's okay. We're focusing on color mixing, not perfect shapes. I'm getting my primaries down and my ceramic mixing palette out. And to start, I'm placing my cadmium orange between red and yellow, and I'm mixing red with orange to create a red-orange, demonstrating the mix between those 2 colors and recording the effect. It's like a science experiment. We're changing the variables and recording the results by labeling the colors and their mixes. I love the result of combining emerald with yellow. It's such a pretty green. Ultramarine and yellow, by comparison, make such a dull green compared to the phthalo blue and yellow. Because there are so many colors in this palette, I'm making a second color wheel to play with the remaining shades. Rose Doré and yellow make this nice happy orange, and permanent rose and yellow make this deeper red orange. And this purple was made with permanent rose and ultramarine. Payne's Gray and Ultramarine make a lovely indigo. I could see myself using this a lot. And this is such a good exercise. It was fun to play with my palette for the first time. And now, what to paint? I went to the Met for inspiration as early in the morning as I could. It was a rainy day, and I ran straight to the Impressionists and just wandered. There was an exhibit on German landscape painter Caspar David Friedrich. It was quite crowded. I was only able to get this shot of one of his most famous paintings, Wanderer Above the Sea of Fog, which features a solitary figure standing on a cliff overlooking a sweeping landscape. I also really like this painting called Woman at a Window, featuring his wife. Friedrich's solitary figures looking out onto vast landscapes remind me of Edward Hopper's work. He's probably best known for the painting Nighthawks and his other paintings featuring solitary figures looking out of windows. Hopper was in New York City, like I am now, and I feel like he really nails the feeling of loneliness and isolation in an urban setting. His subjects are contemplative, staring out into the buildings, maybe wondering about the lives of people who live inside them. Caspar David Friedrich's figures look out into the sea, perhaps contemplating nature instead. Life gets so busy in the city, and to keep from feeling unmoored, I find that practicing close observation by drawing or painting helps me to refocus and collect my thoughts. I had many thoughts after my museum day, so I went home to journal about it. This is a notebook I've been using to record experiences like this while traveling or at home like today. Using one of the brochures from the museum, I cut the figure out from Wanderer Above the Sea of Fog and decided to paint the landscape underneath as a study. I'm using Payne's Gray and just loosely suggesting this mountain and adding more water to lightly paint the fog. Even though this landscape is not the ocean, the mountains and the fog are undulating like waves. He's calling it a sea of fog. His other mountainous landscapes have this dynamic movement as well, like the Wattsman. Even though there's no water in this painting, it's still so energetic. This is what my mixed media collage page looks like. And on the other side, I'm going to do a study of Monk by the Sea, which is a really striking painting that I saw today. The scale of the figure against the vast backdrop of the stormy sky and the sea reminds me that we're so small, kind of like Hopper's figures in urban settings. Friedrich was a part of the German Romanticism movement, which was a response to the rapid industrialization of the modern world. And I think his paintings encourage the viewer to stop and contemplate nature and how we fit into our environment. This movement feels so relevant today because there's a huge wave of new technologies like AI-generated art, and because I'm a person who values handmade things and loves making actual art with my human brain, it can feel really lonely to be in opposition of the use of these technologies. I think that's why I'm so struck by this painting. I feel like this tiny little monk against the massive backdrop of the dark and powerful sea, living my monk life and going on long walks and conferring with nature. These are just some of the thoughts that I'm writing down in my journal. On a different day, I saved the labels for my new paints in this journal as well. They're just too pretty to throw away. Here is a page where I documented my in-person visit to Case for Making, and I'm going to save the other materials that came with the package in here, like the handwritten note and the extra swatch card I made. This palette is very well documented, but there's still so much to explore. I'm excited to see where it'll take me on my art journey. I've been making short-form videos on TikTok for almost 3 years now as JournalingDan, and I've posted my journals on Instagram for longer. But this year I want to focus on long-form content that has a bit more of a lifespan online. I started writing for Substack, which I love, and this is my very first long vlog on YouTube. I do this part-time, I have a full-time corporate job, and this is my hobby. I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me in my happy place. Let me know if you like this video by leaving a comment or subscribing. I hope to be back soon, maybe with the proper camera.